Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So meet again here with me, Kudria. I'm here as the second speaker of the Asian cultures that will be having the comparison of Iran cultures to Indonesian cultures. So here I'm going to explain further about the Japanese cultures versus Indonesian cultures. So the first known that the Japanese culture is first that a culture of respect for the others, that cultural difference respect as other people were different in Indonesia and Japan. Something that shall be exemplary or movement of body part that are commonly used or done as a sign of respect for others. And second, bending the body. A sign of respect by bowing is only done in Japan, not in Indonesia. In Japanese culture, bowing is called ojigi. As a sign of respect, people in Japan, when doing ojigi, the thing they do are when saying sorry, thank you, and other ceremonial or official event. In Indonesia, there's also a culture, but the appearance is different from what the Japanese do. Usually, they will bend their body with their right hand down and their left hand bent behind the waist. Movement by bending the body is usually done as sign of excuse if when passing by an older person. And third is the shake hands. With the handshake culture, this actually already exists in both countries, both Indonesia and Japan. However, the difference is seen in terms of how they shake hands. In Indonesia, a handshake is usually done when the hands are close together by shaking hands between man and woman. Their hands don't touch each other. In Japan, shaking hands is not common, but the culture of handshakes is carried out at international events. And their eating and drinking culture. There are differences between the two categories in the culture of eating and drinking, even though both countries belong to Asian countries but have different eating and drinking cultures. In the eating culture, Japanese food always maintain its characters. Many varieties or choice of Japanese food from light to heavy. Now in Japan, it is easy to find halal food because many Indonesians to live in Japan. When Japanese people start eating, they always say itadakimasu, which means happy eating, and while doing ojigi or the bowing down. It in Japanese tabemasu. Meanwhile, Indonesia pray according to their respective belief. And their drinking culture in Japan, the culture is drinking tea or ochakai. When the drinking tea, there are rules that must be observed. Namely, they must sit cross-legged by putting the cup while drinking tea. In Indonesia, there is no tea drinking culture with strict regulations, so that Indonesians drink tea more relaxed and enjoy it. So 7 is the culture in transportation. Indonesia, which is known for its density of public transportation and traffic density, many people queue up when they will take public transportation. There are frequent traffic jams that make people impatient. Transportation culture between the Indonesia and Japan. People in Japan prefer transportation that doesn't cause excessive pollution because Japanese people are very obedient, also have adequate transportation such as train, MRT, Shinkansen, bicycle, taxi, and etc. The car tax in Japan is much higher than in Indonesia. That's why they prefer to use public transportation compared to other private transportation because transportation in Japan is safer while public transportation in Indonesia is still lacking. So that the comparison of Indonesian culture and Japanese cultures. And second culture that we're going to compare is the Korean culture versus Indonesian cultures. First, Indonesia, it's easy to find people who are friendly and smile even if you don't know them. Whereas if you don't know, South Korean, they won't easily even say hello. There are more cats, and second, in Indonesia, there are more cats on the street of Indonesia than dogs that literally have a lot of dogs as going and pass by in Korea. And third, South Korean will feel weird when they go Indonesian toilet that doesn't provide toilet paper because Indonesian people use water instead. For in Indonesia, delivery service is available only in one account, such as Grab or Gojek. That was like opposite things with the South Korea. And five is Indonesians like to play or stay at their relative houses, whereas in Korea there are rarely other people at home. Six, often unfound in Indonesia that many motorcyclists and cars, while in South Korea more people walk or take public transportation. And seven, in Indonesia there is a little road space for pedestrian. The large number of road users are motorcyclists, that making Indonesia very little road space for pedestrian. Whereas in Korea, pedestrians are given space to walk without being disturbed or disturbing motorists or other cars. 8 is the number of tribes and regional languages. In Indonesia makes Koreans surprised and amazed, while in their country they only have one language. And 9, chicken restaurant in Indonesia offers chicken with a complete with rice, while in Korea or the Ginseng country, that mostly known, is only offer a chicken without the rice. That indeed Indonesian's culture is known when it's not considered eating if it has not eaten a rice. This is also applies to Korea. However, what makes the difference is that the restaurant in Indonesia provide chicken along with a complete package with rice. Meanwhile, restaurant in Korea only sell fried chicken. And last is the tenth. The sound of the call of prayer echoed through Indonesian mosques surprises the Koreans because the majority of the population of Indonesia is Muslim. It is no stranger to the sound of the call to prayer when echoed. Unlike in Korea, the Muslims there are more in the minority, so they rarely even almost never hear the call to prayer at all times. So when Koreans come to Indonesia, they admit that they are surprised to hear the call to prayer. So I think that's all for my material about the comparison of the Japanese cultures and Korean cultures between Indonesia. So I think that's all for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.